Hey Blade Gang, we've got a brand new knife today from Kizer and designed by a new knife designer, Paul Munko. And Paul runs this is his first knife, he runs a company called Colorful Filth, which is an interesting design company. Recently, Bob DeMarco of the Knife Junkie channel did did an interview with Paul, and you can learn a lot about the maker, about the designer, by watching that vid. And I'll see if I can link that here. So let's take a look at this Clairvoyant from Kizer. It is, yes, a button lock. It's retailing for around $160. I'll give you the links to the purchase from White Mountain. This did come from White Mountain, where you can get 10% off using my discount code Old Sword. So try that out if you're interested in shopping at White Mountain. Got some really nice features of this. I would almost call it a sheep's foot with a belly, a very gradual belly. It is made from S35VN steel, so high-grade steel. Got some beautiful jimping there, and the spine is crowned, which you don't often see from Kizer and Concept and some of those knife companies, I think, unless the designer requires it. So there's your button. There's the engagement, and let's take a closer look at that. Pretty good contact. I saw a video from somebody showing, I think it was a Kizer knife, that didn't have very good contact with that plunge lock. This one looks like about 50%, which is really what you'd expect, unless you want the button sticking way out and you want a long travel on that button. So there it is, and we got just a tiny bit of audible stick. Now you can open the knife. Let's back out a little bit. As with any button lock, you can press it. You can press it and it will drop, and you don't have to press very much for it to drop. Thumb studs only, no flipper. Interesting cutout here, which is, you'd almost think that thumb stud would ride up into that area, but I think it's more of a design note. So again, we got that interesting hump here, very indicative of what you'd see on a sheep's foot blade. So it's kind of a hybrid in that regard. We've got some really nice looking carbon fiber. It is a marbled carbon fiber. I call it marbled and not shred. Sometimes there's very little difference between the two visually. Got a really nice titanium clip. And let's see what the liners are. They're steel. The bolsters, really can't isolate them from the liners underneath, but the bolsters do appear to be titanium. It's usually what's used. You can see the color differentiation there between the liners and the bolsters. So that's a nice touch. The jimping's very effective, almost file-like with the separation. And it creates a beautiful thumb ramp there, nice rest. So I like the feel of this knife. It is not a real tall handle, but it is very ergonomic. So they didn't go overly skinny on the thickness of the handle. We'll check that in a minute. Nice surround there, nice black, kind of a standoff surround on the pivot. There is your T8 on that side. Markings, fairly subdued. Well, we got the name Clairvoyant there. We got Munko knives, and I would say he probably branded that name recently out of his design company, since this is his first knife. Very smooth transition there between the bolster and the handle scale. A hidden lanyard pin, very nice. Got this is not a transferable clip. Most milled titanium clips are not. But we've got those 2 screws that go through the backspacer. Backspacer is about 50% of the handle. And let's give you some specs on it. So overall length, I'm going to call it 8.5 inches. Nice length. And not quite 3 3/4. Call it like a 3.65 on the blade length. By the way, you got a little choil there. If you want to use it, it's not really enough for a full finger, at least not my full finger. And yes, let's drop everything. Let's get the digital calipers out. What are they set to? Inches. So let's go with the, look at that, right on a 1/2 inch. And blade thickness, 0.10 millimeters. That works out to be 2.5 millimeters. So fairly thin blade stock, under 3 millimeters. Let's see what we got for a weight. And 3.9 ounces. So coming up pretty close to 1 ounce per inch on this, just a bit over. I don't know why we keep using that criteria, but everybody else seems to use it, so why not use it as well? Action is crisp. Detent is tuned, I would say, yeah, just about right. I mean, you can walk that out. You don't need to flip it out. There is no means to middle finger flick it, although you can with a little friction. Depends on how sticky your fingers are. If you get it up here with that middle finger easily, I'm surprised. Didn't try it before, but there you go. So you don't need a fuller. You don't need any kind of a catch on the side of the blade. And as I said, you can hear just a tiny bit of stick. I don't even know if the microphone, let's see. I don't know if you can hear that. We'll pick it up. A little bit of a tactile stick. You can feel it, but nowhere near as prominent as some other knives. And speaking of some other knives, let's take a look at a few. Here's another Kizer. This is the Begleiter 2 button lock. And it is a smaller knife, as you can see, by a good inch overall, with a blade about 1/2 inch shorter maybe. This is my nice example of a knife with no button stick, none. Makes an interesting kind of high-pitched sound, like you can hear the bearings when you open and close it. Got a little bit of a clip to the point there. So that is the Begleiter 2 from Kizer. Look at one more Kizer. This is the Kizer Assassin XL for size. And I'm going to pull those out of the picture, and I will mention there's a fair amount on this Kizer Assassin XL of button stick. Nothing that stops me from depressing the button, but there's some definite stick there. So I think it's going to vary from copy to copy. However, this is my one button lock knife, other than, say, the Max Ace Babylon, that has just about 0 button stick. Let's take a look at a Sen cut. This is the Watauga that I reviewed recently, and that's going to be a bit smaller. Let's see, even up the pommel. Yeah, about 3/4 of an inch longer on the Clairvoyant. This one got a little bit of button stick too. I don't want to make a big deal about it, but you know, I do find they break in. Sometimes it takes a little bit of oil. And here is one of the original button locks that I picked up. And this is from Civivi. And that is the Civivi Cogent. Had to go look at the box. All it takes is about 6 months to a year, and I forget the name of the knives. This one's set up nicely. A little bit of stick on that one too. All right. It's become my criteria for this review. Seems to be which ones have stick and which ones don't. This is a flipper with some nice jimping. And this one I got in partially serrated with a jade green handle, black blade. It's kind of neat. They're making this steel, I don't think it's on there, but I think they used 14C on this one. So for size comparison, let's get it out there again. Oh yeah, I mean, we got a good inch or inch and a quarter longer overall with a blade, yeah, half-inch longer, something like that. Civivis and Sencuts tend to run in the inch and a half, 3.5 inch sort of range. So it's nice that they have broken past that threshold with the Clairvoyant. I do like a little larger knife. And, you know, although it narrows in here, and you've got the finger groove here, nice ergos, just really nice ergos. Half-inch handle, just enough. I mean, I can roll that right into the palm, and it feels very, very secure. I'd have no problems working with this knife. And absolutely no lock rock or blade play. We'll compare it to one of my standards here that I keep handy on the table. Here is the Griptilian. And Griptilian's coming in just a shade shorter by maybe not quite half an inch. With the blade slightly shorter, maybe a 1/4 inch shorter. That would be about right. Take another look around. Again, really nice carbon fiber on both sides. Nice titanium clip. Nice titanium backspacer with, look at that, we've got his logo, just noticed it on the backspacer as well. Very nice, I mean, tastefully done. Got a bit of sort of a stonewash going on here for a finish. Maybe it's more bead blast with a little stonewash added in. More towards the matte than the shiny. And a nice, I don't know if it's completely crowned, but what they did was they broke the edges here. So initially it looked crowned. I mean, could almost pass for that. But really what you've got is some chamfers. It's very smooth on the top, so no sharp edges on the top. And got a pretty robust point for a thin stock. They did that nicely. Going to make a nice working knife. Usable tip, usable gradual belly on it. Any point where you're working on that edge should end up being just fine for EDC. So let me know what you think. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. I'll be back with you soon.